Live. The red light is on. It is a pay-per-view weekend, UFC 294. To my left, the heart and soul of the show, the mighty Quinn. Ryan, how are you, brother?
Fantastic. Looking forward to this fight weekend. And it's not even a fight night, it's fight afternoon. Yes, can't wait.
Very true. The grit and the fight of the show underneath in the middle of nowhere, the ruthless one, Elle Dawson. Elle, how are you?
I'm good. I'm in the middle of somewhere in Iowa. I don't remember the name of the town. Nevada, Iowa, I think. But yeah, lots of fun. Got my buddy Dakota Bush fighting this weekend out here. So hopefully we'll get to watch the whole card before we head over to his fight. I'm looking forward to a daytime card.
Hey, do not end the stream, okay?
I will not. I'm so sorry, guys.
We were Mike Bananas live yesterday. It was me, Elle, and Maddie, and we had Joe. We had Rafael Esparza was on. Keelan, we had like 7 guests. It was a great show, 2-hour show. We just had a 2-part show because when when Elle was leaving, Elle was like, "Hey, later, guys," and ended the whole stream. But we love Elle more than ever. Every day we love Elle more and more and more. But guys, UFC 294. I asked this question 9 times yesterday, so I'm not going to ask the same question because we are a betting show. We're going to get into the details of it. But this show 10 days ago or a week and a half ago was Charles Oliveira versus Makhachev. It was Costa versus Chimaev. Now with Alexander Volkanovski, media day, I thought it was very lively. Volkanovski was very stern about how this matchup wouldn't have happened if the roles were reversed. I do believe that. The betting odds are high. Oh, Elle, jump in, please.
Of course it wouldn't have. What a ridiculous thing to say. One guy has to cut to 55 and one guy really doesn't. Like, no duh. Like, I don't think that you can make that argument when one of you fights at a lower weight class.
No, okay. Let me honestly play devil's advocate. Even if it was 170, do you think if 296 happens and Colby Covington can't fight, do you think Makhachev will step up and fight Leon Edwards in 10 days' notice?
I don't know. It depends. He's talked about going up to 170.
No, I agree.
Probably not. But it's just a different scenario. Like Volk's like, oh, he wouldn't fight me on 12 days' notice. It's like, well, yeah, he needs more time to make the weight because he's actually a lightweight.
No, I totally get that. I get that. But I agree with Volkanovski of him saying, I just think Makhachev is not that guy to say, I'm going to put it all on the line. I'm going to fight for a championship on 10 days notice. I just don't think that, and I could be dead wrong. And Ryan, I would love your take. I don't think that's Makhachev's DNA. I think Volk has a little BMF in him. He has a little risk, a little I don't give a shit. I will go for it. I think Makhachev is more calculated, a little bit more cold. I think he will get the title shot regardless when it happens. Ryan, what's your take on that?
I agree with you, Dave, but I don't think it's really fair to say that. It's really tough to be in that situation.
For sure.
If Volk had won this fight in February, would he be doing this?
No.
So it's even if it was a draw, who knows? I just don't think it's fair to say that. There's too much. There's a lot of intangibles there, a lot of events. So
agreed.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. Very, very true. We appreciate it. We're doing a great job like that. Real quick with Usman and Chimaev, this matchup has been rumored or talked about for a long time. So at least on this one, especially with Usman moving up, I think Usman has more to gain than I know sounds crazy. Volkanovski, of course, to gain to the championship in the rematch. But I think Volkanovski has a lot to lose. We talked about this yesterday, Elle. If Volkanovski loses this fight, there's a lot for him to lose. I don't think he ever fights for the 155-pound championship again. There's a lot to lose there. Usman, he's kind of free rolling right here. Usman's hey guys, I'm fighting the boogeyman here. I'm fighting the undefeated guy here. I'm moving up. He has a lot of free roll here. Where are you guys out on Usman taking this risk on fighting Chimaev?
I agree with what you said. He doesn't really have anything to lose right now. Nobody's really paying attention to him. Yeah. He lost to Leon the second time, and it's this. We just kind of forgot. MMA fans have the worst recency bias ever. Yes. And it's we just kind of forgot that this dude was like the most dominant welterweight champ ever. And we just kind of forgot about him. So I'm kind of looking forward to like him being the underdog for once. Like, I'm not always the biggest fan of Usman's personality, but like I'm finding myself really rooting for him here, because it would just be such a cool moment to see him come back into the limelight when nobody seems to be taking him seriously.
I totally agree. How about you, Ryan?
Yeah, we've seen many times where champions, after they lose their fight after an established run, where they want those fights that get them up off the couch. Those sexy fights. Randy Couture did it a lot. Who's another good example? Either way, just like the feature fights. But it's very rare where
Dustin Poirier is doing it now. He wants a
Dustin's doing it now. It's very rare where these feature fights are usually with somebody that's on the rise to contention. So that's why this is coming at a head at a very weird angle. And I think that's what makes it so attractive. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
You know that meme? It's like you fuck around and you find out. Like, this is where that meme is. It's Usman and Chimaev. I can't wait. But all right, let's get into what we do, guys. Best bet on the board. We usually start ladies first, and we have all the respect and love for Elle. We're gonna start with Ryan. We're gonna switch it up a little bit. Ryan, what is your best bet on UFC 294? Give it to us.
I swear, if it's the same as mine, Ryan.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that Ankalaev is going to beat Johnny Walker by decision.
Nice. I like that.
I need to look at Elle real quick just to see the reaction, to see if it was going to be like a duplicate. But I don't expect a lot of flash fight whatsoever. I expect a lot of sandpaper grind against the fence. I expect a lot of that. I expect a lot of that 90 degrees against the fence and the canvas with Ankalaev on top. The first round, Johnny might show a little footwork, but eventually he's going to paint himself into a corner for at least 10 to 12 minutes of the fight. And Ankalaev is just going to control him, similar to how he did with a few rounds against Jan in his last fight.
I like that a lot. It's so funny you mentioned that fight, Ryan. I'm so happy you did. This fight is being so underrated. Dude, Ankalaev was in the main event of December's pay-per-view. He was kind of this boogeyman of the light heavyweight division. He's not even been talked about. Like, that fight was a draw. A lot of people had that man winning the fight, Magomed Ankalaev. It was a draw against Blachowicz, and he's been like buried ever since. The UFC was not happy on that. He's even buried on this card. I've been watching Embeddeds. I've been watching Media Day. They're not talking about him. Like, he is not even a part of this card. I see Johnny Walker at the zoo in Abu Dhabi. I have not seen Ankalaev. I'm happy you talked about him. I'm happy you have him picking to win. I like that as well. Miss Elle Dawson, who do you got winning? What's your best bet, or under, over, what you got for us?
It's not the same as Ryan's. Mine is Ikram Aliskerov to win by KO or TKO over Warlley Alves. Man, this is just a fantastic matchup for Ikram, and like getting plus 125 for this prop, I couldn't pass that up. Like, that's great odds here. I feel like just the way the style, like stylistically, Ikram is a nightmare matchup for Warlley. Warlley is a welterweight. He has not fought at middleweight since his debut in 2014. And I don't think that this move up is necessarily because he is naturally a middleweight and that should be his proper weight class. But I think it's just because he's getting older, and typically when you go up in size against a really big physical guy like Ikram Aliskerov, who's so well-rounded, he's got power. He put away Phil Hawes, who I think very highly of, is a phenomenal athlete, great wrestler, also has power as well. Khamzat Chimaev fought Ikram outside the UFC and could not take him down. This dude just has all the pieces to put this together against Warlley Alves. With Warlley, you kind of got to worry about some danger for that first round. He has durability issues. He has cardio issues. He has that guillotine. I don't even think this fight gets to the mat. I think Ikram puts him away on the feet. But I could absolutely see the TKO as well.
I like that as well. Real quick, Elle, are you wearing a Venom UFC hoodie, by the way?
I am. The new stuff is dope, by the way.
Nice.
All their new fight week stuff is pretty sweet.
I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. I won't. I will take our text to the grave, Miss Elle Dawson. But me and Elle had the greatest text chain in the history of life. It was fantastic.
I'll say it.
No. was that good. All right, it was that good. It was that good. All right, underdog plays right here, guys. UFC 294. I like both of your best bet on the boards. I'm going to play both of those plays with Rafael Esparza. I'm going to take that man's money. But what's your underdog play for UFC 294, Ryan Quinn?
You know, at the top heavy underdog card that we're probably going to hear about later, but I really like Milan Gafarov over Said Nurmagomedov.
Nurmagomedov?
Yeah. I never pronounce any of those, and it's always the same one. I just feel that his durability is going to be able to create angles to, back away from the scrambles, back away from the power of the north-south fighter. And I just seen some other fights with his experience. I really wanted to stay away from the top fights for content purposes. So I like Nguyen in that fight.
Okay, I like that one. I can see that going that way. All right, there we go. Underdog play. Miss L. Dawson, keep it rolling for us, please.
I agree with Ryan. I think there's a lot of live dogs, just like ones that I didn't end up picking, but like Mike Breeden, I think is a really live dog. I think Bruno Silva is a great dog, but man, I just can't pass up plus 275 for Kamaru Usman. Like we were talking about earlier, I just think he's being completely overlooked here. And it's not that this isn't a winnable fight for Chimaev. Of course it is, but it's just too good of value to pass up. We literally just forgot about one of the most dominant welterweight champs in history. And I think Chimaev is also not a super big guy here. Like he can make welterweight as well. Most of his UFC fights were at 170. So they're really both coming up together rather than Usman coming up to meet this huge middleweight like we're seeing in the Warlley Alves Ikram fight. And although Usman may not put the same aggressive pressure on Chimaev that Burns did, I think that last round against Burns just showed how hittable Chimaev is. And Usman has one of the best jabs, at least in the welterweight division, if not in the UFC, man. It's snappy, it's long. He stays behind it really well. He stays really defensively sound with it really well. And I just think Chimaev is so hittable. And if that jab is successful and Chimaev can't take down Usman, man, I saw a stat the other day. Usman's opponents in the UFC are 1-37 against him for takedown attempts.
Insane.
One guy has taken him down once, and the only reason that happened, that was Leon Edwards. The only reason that happened is because he wasn't expecting it. It's the punches you don't see coming, right? It's the takedown you don't expect is the one that gets you. And he's definitely going to expect Chimaev to take him down, and he stays behind that jab so well. If Chimaev can't get him down, Chimaev couldn't take down Ikram in their fight as well. If he can't get Usman to the mat, I think he can really piece him up here, especially over that second and third round. I think Chimaev will slow down a little bit. I know people like the short notice always worries people, but Usman has a naturally good gas tank. He's not a natural gasser, and he is world class at slowing fights down. Chimaev is this controlled chaos. Usman is this sharp, controlled. I dictate the pace of the fight, and so I'm shocked that there's this much good value on Usman here. You have to throw a little bit on it.
I absolutely love it, and I want to kind of more statistics and more stuff. I want to just double down on this. Kamaru Usman, when's the last time this man has fought a 3-round fight? This guy is used to fighting 5-round fights, so I feel like in a weird way, Usman can be whoa, let me be more aggressive early, or a better second round fighter, or in the third round when he's kind of maybe right.
Is he training in Colorado full time still?
I think he's been back and forth. I know he's been back at Kill Cliff some.
More at Kill Cliff, I think. I've been
okay. All right, because I was going to say altitude would help.
I think he's always had that, though. He's always had that cardio, whether he was even before he made the move.
Yeah, the 5th round to Leon Edwards wasn't a cardio thing. It wasn't oh man, at the end of the 4th.
I mean for short notice purposes. I don't mean for
for sure. Right. So I think that's a big part of it. And then, of course, and I know MMA math is probably the worst math in the history of not even just sports, just any math period. But they do have a common opponent in Gilbert Burns. And it is what it is. But let's just be honest. Usman looked triple, double, quadruple better against Burns than what Chimaev did. The Chimaev Burns was a this is a bad word, but I'm just going to say it was a sloppy brawl. It was a great fight. It was a fun fight too. It's one of those fights that I always put on like to my MMA friends. Like they're like, hey, they know what I do. They know I love this stuff. They're like, all right, put on a fight. I'm like, all right, I'm going to put on Burns and Chimaev. Like, guys, this is fun. The drama. He's sitting on top of the cage. I'm like, guys, Darren Till and them are friends, but they're not friends. I'm like, just watch this for 18 minutes. You're going to love it. Like that's one of the fights. The Usman Burns, like Usman is like strategic. He's like a surgeon in there. He's jabbing. And then the power, he puts the man out in the third round. Like, it's just a two different type of fights. And like you said, at plus 270, I just think Usman's got like a real shot. And like, we've never seen also in the Chimaev and Burns fight, and Chimaev only lost one round in it, if you want to say that. What happened if Chimaev loses the first round? We've never seen Chimaev on the back end of the dance. He's always been, I'm going downhill. I'm the bully. I'm in the driver's seat. I would love to see roles reversed. And if he shows us something, that's awesome. We'll come in Monday and be like, cool, we've seen Chimaev on the other side. And that'd be fun.
Right. No, for sure. And if he beats Usman, absolutely. Like, he's legit. Yeah. Like, we can't say, man, he hasn't beaten anybody. Like, has he really beaten anybody yet? Like, this is his moment for sure.
He's legit regardless. Like, if he loses to Kamaru Usman, he's legit regardless.
But a legitimate title contender at that point, like he's ready.
Off the couch. Let me read this comment. Off the couch and at least a 16-hour flight to Abu Dhabi for Usman, for sure. And I get that. And like, Ryan, let me ask you this question. You're the fighter, 8 years, Bellator vet, all this stuff. What's the shortest notice fight you have ever done? And I hear a lot of times, like, it's great to be a short notice fight, especially if you're in good cardio shape. It's less thinking. It's just, I'm going to go out there and just fight and do what I do.
In 2.5 weeks, and that anxiety, I didn't have time for it to build up.
Right.
I was in pretty good shape. I always made sure that during my whole career, I was at least in 1.5 round shape.
Okay.
Just in case, things happen. But and I didn't, like, it's usually with a long layover, I would let that anxiety build up. But that was just me. I'm Kamaru Usman, but has it there. Like, the flight, as long as you have a few days, you get with it. Like, I know I fought all over the world, and even I fought. And that's the other thing is, sometimes if you fly out somewhere, like I remember I flew to Russia and I had to weigh in the next day, and it was like 30 hours of travel. It sucked. And I remember I was so amped that I didn't have time to really crash and get that jet lag in me, let alone. So, as long as you're out there, which they have been for ample amount of time, they'll be fine. I don't think the flight's going to be an issue.
And I don't think Usman's coming off the couch. I think Volka's the same way. I think these guys train all the time. Like, this is all they want to do.
Right.
They don't do other stuff.
Yeah, it's 2023. It's not like it's 2004 back in the day when Tito Ortiz, they had like fight camps and then they went away and they got to 285 pounds and got back in. Like, dude, look at everyone at American Top. Look at all their social media. They're all in shape. They all have 12 abs, like, all the time. Everyone's always in shape. Like, it's just, it's a 12-month sport now. It is what it is. Guys, great insight by both of you. 3 fight parlays. There's a lot of stuff to get to. There's a couple prelims we haven't even touched on. Hopefully you guys get into it. 3 fight parlays. Let's start with the cornerman, Ryan Quinn.
Hell, we didn't get off too easy. I mean, we didn't have exact matches, but we still had some. I too have. I have Usman as an upset pick.
Okay.
I think that I'm really interested to see round 1, the game plan that Trevor Whitman has put together for him, and I think he's going to be fine in this fight. I'm happy to see him as an underdog, and also I have Ikram knocking out Worley Alves as well. I think that Worley's guillotine over Colby Covington is light years away from us. He's had like 1 or 2 wins since then. He hasn't looked good in either his wins or his losses. And Ikram's, on the rise. And then in the co-main event, or the main event, I'm sorry, I think that Volk gets his revenge. I think that the fight IQ is going to come through. I think he's in shape. I think that he's going to find ways to score winning situations. He's not going to give up any big points, and you're going to see him win maybe a 3-2 fight, but it's going to be a solid, yeah, he really won those 3 rounds type deal.
Wow, that kind of what is it? Spoiling the lead a little bit on us, the cornerman Ryan Quinn. Volkanovski winning the main event. I was waiting for us. We really haven't talked about that fight a lot. Wow, great 3-fight parlay. I'm sorry I'm not going to do the odds. I will make we'll make a poster for this for sure. Usman to win, Ikram KO, Volk. That's maybe one of the biggest money 3-fight parlays we're going to have. Huge underdogs and a knockout prop. That's going to be mighty, mighty big 3-fight parlay. El, what do you guys for us? Because we'll go back to your Volkanovski pick, Ryan, because I think we talked about it yesterday on the Fight Banana Show live. El and myself both have Makhachev winning the main event. So, El, let's go with your 3-fight parlay, and then we'll go back to it.
I have another disagreement for Ryan here in my parlay as well. So for my first leg, I'm sticking with Ikram Aliskerov to win by KO TKO. I actually was playing with a little bit of the earlier card, but I decided I want to go with a fully Dagestani parlay. So for my second leg, I actually did agree with you, Ryan. I have Magomed Ankalaev over Johnny Walker. I did toy with the prop with the decision a little bit, but unfortunately, I actually think there's this fight can end many ways for Ankalaev. So I feel like the best way to find value here is just with the money line in the parlay. I know Walker's on a 3-fight win streak, and he's got wins over Anthony Smith, Paul Craig, Kutalaba. Obviously, Paul Craig beat Magomed Ankalaev. I kind of call him the champ killer. He's just that triangle. He's gotten lucky with it a couple times. But Walker has still been inconsistent, and Ankalaev is he's so well-rounded. He's so defensively sound on the feet. He struck beautifully with Jan Blachowicz. His wrestling is great. As long as he doesn't get caught in some weird scramble and submission with Johnny Walker, I just don't see how Walker beats him. I would lean towards the decision as well, Ryan, but I wasn't confident enough. I'm sticking with the money line. And then for the third leg of my parlay, I actually have Saeed Nurmagomedov over Gafurov. I actually like Gafurov a lot. I do think he's a very well-rounded fighter. He can wrestle. He has a powerful right hand. He's fought some really good guys in one championship. I do think he has dropped the ball to those better guys like John Lineker. And so I feel like he's just not quite at the level to beat a guy like Saeed. We've seen Nurmagomedov against we've had the pleasure of seeing him against several different styles in the UFC, even in high-level opponents like Cody Stamann and Douglas da Silva Andrade, who I know is a little bit older, but is still he's dangerous on the feet. He has phenomenal grappling, and Saeed put on an absolute clinic against him. And he did really well against Kakhramonov as well, who's also a very well-rounded guy. And I think that while Gafurov can wrestle, and I think that would help him in this matchup, I think he's going to be very weary to take those shots because he's going to be worried about that awesome guillotine that Saeed has. He's got guillotine wins over Cody Stamann and Kakhramonov, and he's handled those good grapplers as well as those power punchers. I think Gafurov is tough, and I don't think he'll necessarily get finished here. But I think Saeed with his length is going to be a little bit too much. I think Gafurov is actually a little undersized for the division. He doesn't look super lean. I feel like he could make flyweight if he was in better shape. And I actually would like to see him there in the future. I'm interested to see that. But I could see Saeed getting the guillotine. I could see him winning a decision. So I'm playing the money line. I think my parlay was somewhere in the plus 300s with those three.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's funny you say that because Rafael Esparza was on the show yesterday, and one of his major props, it's super fun. He has over 6.5 is the money, is the over under wins. Last letter with a V.
What?
So take that
yeah.
The last name, last letter ends with the letter V.
Oh, I get
6.5 wins. Makhachev, Ankalaev, all that stuff. And there's a lot of Ankalaev, Nurmagomedov. There's a ton of them. So I was like,
Aliskerov.
yeah. That's what I mean. I was like, just right away, as soon as he said, I was like, over. Just give me over. So I like that a lot. Dude, okay, Ryan, real quick. So you, like I said, you kind of buried the lead here 20 minutes into the show. So you really have Volkanovski kind of 12 days notice, 13 days notice, coming back, taking the revenge over Makhachev. Do you just think he really had that momentum? 5th round, he won the 5th round in a major way, just continues it, striking, grappling, and just continues it and wins. I know you said 3-2. You just think he wins a decision against Makhachev and he just keeps that momentum going?
Man, when I think about fight IQ, I don't just think about a great game plan to start. That could be the coach doing that and you just being really trusting in your coach, which is fantastic. That's a whole nother discipline that we could shake out one day. But when I watched that fight again for the video I did last week, and the in-fight adjustments he makes, like there was one situation in the 2nd round where he slipped a punch, then slipped back, and I saw he went like, and then he slipped a punch again 5 seconds later and immediately put together a combination of body, head, right hand. And I was like, he saw that, he went back to it. It's almost like an NFL team seeing a hole with the run game and just exploiting it till you get a touchdown. And he won the round in a big way. Makhachev couldn't adjust until he went back to his corner and they said something.
Right.
For you to be able to do that on the fly like that, and now he's had 8 months. I'm not saying that he's just been training every day for Makhachev, but
I think he has. I really do. I think he's that guy.
Train those mistakes that you had made in the fight and not make them again, and learn how to score off of those positions. And I think that we're going to see stuff like that.
Ryan, and maybe you heard this and maybe you didn't on the show and all that stuff. One thing I said to Elle, and I think maybe Elle, I think you agreed, or you're like, oh, maybe you liked my take. I would love your take on my take, Ryan, is I think Alexander Volkanovski is going to be very aggressive off the bat. And I think that he used his pace. He always uses his pace as a weapon. I'm not sure that he's going to have that this fight. I don't know if he thinks that his cardio is going to be as good as it was the first time they fought, and his cardio is going to be better than Makhachev in this fight. So I think he's going to be willing to kind of put it out there, and he kind of says it. It was on Embedded. It was on all these shows about like he's not afraid of Makhachev's power. Like I feel like he's maybe willing to trade a little bit more and is willing to be okay. Let's sit in the pocket. Like let's go now. I'm gonna throw my best 2 strikes. I'll take one of yours, but I think I'm gonna throw my 2 best, especially in the first 3, 4, 5 minutes, and see what happens. I think he's gonna be a little bit more aggressive, especially in round 1.
I could see that, and I'll tell you why. It makes me think of, when Robbie Lawler was fighting, he was notorious for throwing away round 2. Some of these fighters, and comes the game plan, the fight IQ. When you throw away these early rounds, it kind of magnifies the game plan of your opponent. So then your corner could pick it up. You could pick up patterns your own right. You throw that away, and then you start playing off of that going forward. I mean, I don't think he's going to blow his wad. So, like we said, like if he didn't cut a whole lot of weight, he's not cutting down to 45. So I think it's a fair assessment to say he loses round 1 because he might be looking to be over aggressive to throw it away to try to see what he's going to build off of.
I do think it's interesting that he was over 180, which isn't humongous it's a big featherweight, but it's not like, it's like, okay, that makes sense for him to walk around at that. But I do think that tells us something that like, he wasn't like, he either wasn't training as hard as he normally does, or he wasn't like dieting. So, and I think it's probably the dieting side because he did drop really fast. I think he dropped to like 167, I think in like, what was like the first several days. So like, that's pretty quick, which means you were probably eating a lot of junk. And then, you lost the water and the salt and all that in those first couple of days, I do kind of wonder if he is going to have, like, I do think he trains all the time. I don't think Volkanovski is I don't have a fight, I'm not in fight camp kind of guy. But is he going to be able to push the same pace? That is a question here,
Absolutely. All right, guys. UFC 294, Betting Bananas, officially in the books. Oh, our main guy, Bieber Pavlovich, back in the books. What does he got for us? Askarov is the most confident, but doesn't pay much. Yeah.
Play the prop. Play the prop. KO, TKO is plus money, Beaver. That's where the money's at. Thank you, Miss L. Dawson, giving us right there what we need. Unbelievable. Next week, Betting Bananas is off. There's no UFC event. We're just going to take a week, slow down.
But the Fight Banana Show live will be live next Tuesday. Beaver goes, agreed. Thank you very much, L. Appreciate it. Dude, anything else? I think we absolutely nailed it. I loved you guys'. I love your best bet, both of yours. I love the Ingram plus 125. And Ryan, I love Ankalaev a lot on that play. I think we nailed it. Guys, enjoy the show. I've been saying it all week long. Make sure, guys, on the East Coast, prelims 10 a.m. Eastern. The pay-per-view card starts at 2 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you set your plans up now. Call your pizza, call your wings, get your drinks, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Ryan, L, any last words on this amazing UFC pay-per-view?
Yeah, watch it, guys. Like if you're in California and you got to wake up early, like it's worth it, man.
Yeah.
It's just a great card.
I'm even going to turn off college football over this stuff. So it's a big card.
Wow. Irish is on fire. They beat the USC this past weekend.
Yeah. And there's another. Penn State's got a big game too. They're playing. They're Penn State, Ohio State at 12 o'clock, and at 2 o'clock that game's not over. Out.
I love it, guys. Betting Bananas is done. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. I believe it's the Brazil show. Jalton Almeida versus Derek Lewis. Almeida via the sub. There you go. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks with Betting Bananas. Dave Van Auken, Ryan the Quarter McQuinn.